This is not going live in the group, so, oh no, maybe it is. No, it's not. I don't. Okay, if you're watching on YouTube or on my Facebook page, that's good, but it's saying I'm live. Oh, okay. It is working. I just couldn't see that it was working. Okay, so if you're watching, I'm trying to get my tech set up. So if you're watching the replay, skip ahead. Okay. There is a link that I wanted that I don't. See. So, all right. I guess I just won't worry about it. And I have my phone. So if you're making comments, I'll be able to see it on there. So welcome to the March Q&A here in Emotionally Healthy Moms, or if you're watching on YouTube, the Mom Mentor channel. Trying to do these once a month where you can just send your questions about being a mom, questions about faith, questions about emotional health, and answer those, and never be afraid to ask a question, because somebody else probably has the same question or a similar question, and the answers are helpful to others also. So if you're joining me live, say hi. If you're watching the replay, let me know. I'll come back to all your comments and questions. And let's see. I guess I'll just get started and see. So one question that comes up a lot is like, how do I not be angry with my kids? How do I stop being so angry? And the question is often asked like in the moment, like, I'm losing it. How do I stop from losing it? And you do need tools for the in the moment stuff, to be able to slow yourself down, to take a deep breath, to, count to 10, to remind yourself that you're the adult. But it's hard to do that if you're not addressing what's underneath. Like, why are you angry? And so I think that's the first thing to look at. There's all kinds of reasons to be angry as a mom. So I used to be an angry mom. On rare occasion, I'm still an angry mom. But like, I used to be an angry mom. I yelled and raged at my kids at times. And it wasn't because my kids were so awful and they needed to be raged at, of course. And in the moment, like, knowing that I should calm down or whatever, especially if I was to that point of raging, it didn't matter. Like, that just made it worse, of like, yeah, you know better, but here you go doing this anyway. So what made the big difference for me was looking at why am I angry? Why do I feel this way in the first place? And so it can be as simple as having unrealistic expectations, like expecting your child to know how to clean their room at 5 or even 10 or 12 if you haven't broke that down for them and taught them how to do that. If you haven't walked through a process of, okay, we're going to gather up the trash, we're going to gather up the laundry, we're going to gather up the Legos, we're going to, break it down into something age appropriate. It can be unrealistic expectation of expecting a kid to remember to do 5 things, and they're just not there yet. Like, they can handle 2 things at a time or 1 thing at a time. So there can be those unrealistic expectations, or like, I said we needed to leave. Well, okay, but did they actually know that that meant they needed to stop what they were doing and get on their shoes and grab their lunch and, all these other things, when you just said, like, we need to go? Um, and sometimes we can be like, well, they should. Well, okay, step back to their age and the circumstances, and should they really? Or is that an unrealistic expectation? So sometimes we're angry because we're expecting things that just we're setting ourselves up to be frustrated because it's not realistic. A lot of times we are mad and angry moms because there's resentment there. And that could be resentment at ourselves for not doing as good a job as we think we should be doing, we want to be doing. It can be resentment towards our kids for like not meeting those expectations, for not getting enough help. And sometimes it's help we're not even asking for, but there's still that we don't see it as resentment if we're in that place of we haven't even asked for the help. It's more of a victim type, just poor me, this is my lot in life and I can't handle it. And that can come out as anger. And again, like, is everything you're putting on yourself what God is putting on you? Have you asked for help? Have you looked for different ways you could do things? So I've covered 2 reasons for being an angry mom: unrealistic expectations, and then like that resentment or kind of martyr. Like, this is just so hard and so overwhelming, and I'm mad that I have to do this, and I'm mad that it's so hard, and that kind of thing. So let me know if you relate to either one of those. And then for me, the biggest cause of being an angry mom was childhood stuff. Not feeling like I mattered, not feeling like I was important, not having a clue how to deal with my own emotions. So just this lack of skills that came from childhood, and all these, you could call them thinking errors, that also came from childhood of don't need anything, don't be a burden, everything is your fault, don't express your opinions, keep all that to yourself. Your job is to make everybody else happy. Um, those things are wrong. They're not possible. And so it kind of builds that resentment or that victim mentality. And anger is I don't want to say it's a mask, because there's legitimate reasons to be angry. But often when we're angry or mad, it's just an indicator that something else is going on. There's other emotions at play. There's hurt, there's confusion, there's the resentment, there's feeling unseen, there's fear. Like, so look at what's behind the anger, because it's really an indicator that there's something else going on, instead of just, well, I'm just angry and I need to learn to manage my anger. Yeah, you need to learn to manage it in the moment, how to take a deep breath, how to step away, how to remember, like, oh, I have tools here. I'm not helpless and powerless. Because that would be like the trigger of my rages. Often I just would feel completely powerless to get them to do what I was trying to do. And it was because I didn't have the tools to work with them in a healthy way. And then I didn't have the tools for managing my own emotions. And so I would just feel powerless and hopeless because, like, I don't know how to do this. I'm trying, trying not to do it the way that my parents did because I did not enjoy that. But then not having other, like I've talked to a lot of moms, like, okay, I'm really clear on what I don't want to do, but I don't know what to do instead. So learning to be able to stop and look at, what am I expecting here? Is that realistic? What am I actually feeling here? Like I learned that I was feeling rejection from my kids, and they weren't rejecting me. They're just being kids as part of being a parent. But that rejection wound was something I hadn't dealt with and hadn't seen. So it was showing up trying to get attention, but it was coming out as anger, even coming out as anger towards my kids, when it was a hurt in me that didn't have anything to do with them. They were just, pushing that button. Let me grab a drink. Okay, looks like the live is working. So, oh, hang on, I have a note. All right, let me see if I can figure out how to share the link for this. And let's see, sharing the link on the video probably wouldn't make a difference. Technology hasn't been my friend on this. Maybe it's not playing in the group. Maybe that's part of the problem. Okay, it didn't connect right. So the first part of, well, I guess none of it was playing in the group. It was playing on my Facebook page, which is what I thought at first, but what, Tegan? Okay, did you do your homework?
No, I'm going to do this first. Look at my book.
Okay, so I think I addressed that, being an angry mom. Then another question, and really this is a question I've been asking for myself, is how do I stop spinning? And what I mean by spinning is when, like, sometimes it's just kind of like, yeah, I need to make myself do something I don't want to do. Like, it's time to go start dinner, but I want to get one more thing done on what I'm working on, or scroll just a little bit longer, or something like that. And all right, Jennifer made it. I don't know. Pauses the video when you type. I'm sorry. That's kind of, the tech on my end isn't really doing what it's supposed to do either, but I'm glad you made it. So when I'm talking about spinning, it can be minor, like, oh, I really should get up and change the laundry, start dinner, whatever. But I'm just kind of stuck in doing what I'm doing. I want to keep doing what I'm doing for work on this project just a little bit longer, scroll just a little bit more, all the way up to, like, just barely functioning in life, just barely getting dinner made and Tegan taken care of, because all the rest of the time I'm just like, I don't know what to do and I can't make decisions, and feeling I suppose, a lot of anxiety, just like, I'm not sure about this conversation. I'm not sure what to do here. Lose focus for business. Like, am I really supposed to be doing this? Is it making a difference? Like, all this kind of stuff that's just kind of like spinning around all the time. And as like why I chose to put the question this week is because probably just like Sunday and Monday, I had kind of the waking up and coming out of the spinning of like, oh, I've been spinning a lot. And I can look back over the last, about year now and be like, yeah, I was spinning a lot this last year. And so how do I stop it sooner? How do I catch it sooner? And like I said, on the more mild, like just kind of gonna keep scrolling or keep doing my project, like reminding myself, like, no, if we go start dinner early, you feel a lot better when you have that time and that leeway instead of the pressure of, oh no, now I'm behind and I'm late and all of that. So reminding myself, like, no, you really do, like in the moment, you want to keep doing this, but you really do want to stop and go do the next thing because you feel better overall. For the bigger spinning, what I've seen to be helpful is 'cause typically when I'm spinning, this is part of what I realized over the weekend. Bless you. Typically, when I'm spinning, I feel really young. I feel really helpless and confused and overwhelmed. And recognizing that that's how I felt a lot as a child. And so, as a child, that was a very legitimate feeling. I did not have the tools I needed. I did not have a safe place to share how I was feeling. I didn't have a safe place to get help working through things. I just needed to be okay. I just needed to manage it. And so now that spinning is like I'm slipping back into that instead of recognizing, like, no, I've grown a lot and I have lots of tools and resources now, and I have safe places to ask questions. Um, so helping to stop the spinning, if I slow down and listen to what I'm feeling, then it helps me remember the tools that I have and the resources that I have. Um, and so I'm not sure that that's making sense, but just part of what I recognized was when I'm in that spinning and I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. That's the programming from my childhood when I legitimately didn't know. And so I was just stuck because I didn't know and there wasn't anybody I could go to. But now if I catch myself going, I don't know, and be like, but you can learn. Or I probably already know if I stop and address, like, okay, I see that you're feeling this is overwhelming. I see that you're feeling like we don't know what to do here and we're just going to be stuck. But that's not true anymore. We have resources now. We can talk to the Father. We can talk to our groups. We can, um, journal. We can do these different things. I can hear your emotions now. I can help you figure out what to do. You're not alone in this anymore. So kind of like reparenting, I call it sometimes, of taking like this little piece of me didn't have these tools, but I do. And if they need a tool I don't have, I can learn it. And so that steps out of the spinning of like, I don't know, I hope that makes sense. That there's the that younger part, the programming from when I was younger is what's in the forefront when I'm spinning. And so if I can recognize that and be like, okay, you served me well for a long time, but this is a different season of life now. So we're going to do things differently. Let me know if that resonates at all or if that brings up questions for you. And then another question is connecting with God when the other voices seem so loud. And that kind of ties into the spinning because when I'm spinning, I don't feel like I hear very well. And again, that would make sense because little me didn't know how to hear from God. I desperately wanted to connect with God. I can remember sitting in my room and crying, and wishing for a Jesus with skin on, because I just didn't know how to connect with him as he was. So to little me, like, that made the most sense in the world, was to have a Jesus with skin on. And I didn't find one when I was little. So it makes sense. It's valid that when I'm feeling all of that stuff from when I was young, I don't feel like I know how to connect with him, because that part of me doesn't. So again, stepping in as me now, like doing, I don't know, say like God isn't a ATM or whatever that we punch in the right formula and we always get out what we want. But he is a loving father who does want to connect with us. He's also a loving father that wants us to grow. So sometimes, like, I sit down and I write in my journal and I write out what I want to say, and I ask him questions and I write out what I feel he wants to say back to me. And sometimes it doesn't feel like it works. And it's because he wants me to learn something new. He wants me to learn a new way of connecting with him. And so there's all kinds of different tools out there to try. And for me, if I'm in that place of like, I just don't feel like I can connect, writing is just super helpful for me to get it out of my head. And so I write down what all those voices are saying. I write down what all those crazy emotions are and get them out of my head to like clear the channel, clear the air. And then if that's still like, if that didn't clear the air enough, I'm not hearing, to come back to a time. And often he gives me a picture that I can hold on to where I know that I heard from him. And so maybe I don't get something new in that time, but I'm still coming back to something that I know is true and that I know he has spoken to me. And so that's why I have lighthouses. That's why I have the swan. As you can't see the pictures right now, but like, I have that stuff around me to remind me that this is what he spoke to me. This is how he sees me. And that helps to calm down and reconnect, even if like I still might have this pressing question of like, what am I supposed to do with this, that I don't feel like I have an answer for, but I'm at least connected back to my foundation of, I know you're a good father. I know you're here for me. I know you're never going to leave. And I know you're working things for my good. So hopefully that helps, like quieting the voices in the moment. And for me, it's easiest to quiet them by writing them down. But then learning to, like, when I just cannot get them to be quiet, when they're so, that's usually, for me, in my experience, that's usually a younger part that needs some healing and needs some attention. So there's learning, because there's God's voice, there's the enemy's voice. So learning to silence the enemy's voice, and then there's our own thoughts. And for me, really seeing like, is this what I'm currently thinking, or is this some old programming or a younger part that is needing some attention? Because where those places are wounded, and there's forgiveness that needs to happen, and there's healing that needs to come, the truth just can't get in there. It doesn't have anywhere to land. It doesn't have anywhere to take root. So in my coaching, I give you tools so you can work through that on your own. But a lot of times, especially if those voices are really, really loud and drowning out the truth, it's helpful to go through that with someone. And so lead you through that process to hear why that voice is there, what it is they're saying, what they need, and for them to be able to hear, for you to be able to hear the truth that God wants to speak and the healing that he wants to bring to that place or that part in you. Okay, I think that I was thinking I had another question. I didn't write it down. Let me see if anybody has commented a question. Oh, I was going to talk a little bit about, as I had posted in the group earlier this week, about if you have safe people. And I know the question has come up before, like, how do you know somebody's safe? Like, and some of the comments of like, I don't share because, excuse me. They're talking about whether you have safe people to share with. And some of the responses being, well, I don't share because I don't want to deal with the gossip, or I don't want to deal with what they're going to think of me. And if those are your thoughts about the person you're thinking about sharing with, then they're probably not a safe person. And that's not always true, because some of us just have a filter of that's how everybody's going to treat me because that's how everyone always has treated me. So sometimes it's a filter and a thought process on your part. But if you have someone where like you've had that experience and you're like, yeah, I'm not going to share that with them because I don't want to deal with this consequence of the gossip or being judged or whatever, then that's your indication they're not a safe person to share with. So you're wise to not share with them. And in looking at, is somebody safe, like look and evaluate, how do they handle personal information? Like, are they telling you stuff about other people that kind of makes you cringe? You're like, oh, I wouldn't want them sharing that about me. Okay, then they're not a safe person. Do they have that filter of what's appropriate to share and what's not? And you can observe that without necessarily sharing stuff with them, just by how they talk about other people. Are they judgmental just in their general conversation? Not necessarily that you have to share something and see if they judge you for it, but are they judgmental in the other things that they're talking about and other people they're sharing with? That's not a safe thing. I'd always like to go through Brene Brown's Braving Trust, because that helps you be really specific instead of like, well, I don't know, maybe I'm just a jerk and I don't trust them. Well, you can look at, and I don't know if I'll remember them all, but their boundaries. Do they have them? And are they okay with other people having them? If not, they're not entirely trustworthy. Reliability, I think she defines as owning, well, reliability, doing what they say they're going to do. And I think accountability is if they make a mistake, can they apologize? Can they make it right? The vault, that's they only share things that are appropriate to share. I think I is integrity, non-judgment. So like, yeah, I'm not here to judge. I'm here to listen and hear you, but I don't need to judge you. And then generosity is like giving people the benefit of the doubt, assuming they're doing the best they can. So if someone has those traits, they're a fairly trustworthy person. And we're not looking for perfection. One of my mentors talks about looking for 80%, 8 out of 10. So does something just popped up on my screen? Do they Do they maintain boundaries and honor other people's boundaries 8 out of 10 times? Do they hold the vault 8 out of 10 times? And so looking at that, because like we're not looking for perfection, we're looking like consistency, that most of the time this is who they are. And then in the 2 out of 10 times that they might not keep a boundary, or they might say something, or they might be judgmental, how do they handle that? Are they able to come back and apologize? Are they able to see why it might have caused a problem for you and legitimately put effort into fixing that? Or is it all your problem? And, so when you're looking for safe people, you're looking for consistency in treating you how you want to be treated, and valuing you and your emotions and your thoughts and your experiences. All right. So I think that's what I have for today. And if you're watching the replay, let me know what if this was helpful for you. And then I guess just want to make an announcement. I have the Small Change Challenge coming up. We'll be kicking it off next Wednesday. I'll be talking about why small change is so powerful, why I'm so excited about it. And like, it's a challenge, but it's not one of these like there's an hour a day that you need to put in, or I mean, there's not like, hey, Casey. So it's a challenge because we're going to be challenged to consistently make just a small step each day and celebrate that. That'll be the challenge, to celebrate your small step every day. And I would love it if you would invite people to the group to join us for that, or send them the link to the sign up page to have them join us in that challenge. I see the potential for it to be an awesome community building experience, to really get to see that you're not alone in trying to change, that you have support, and really, like, what really excites me the most is that doing just a little bit consistently makes a big, big difference. And so I'm really excited about that, and you'll be hearing more about it. I hope you'll bring your friends, and I pray that you have an amazing week. We'll see you in the group.